Good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge 8.0, and today is day 38. So yesterday we talked about our goal setting for 2024, and we went through and set our goals using the Reports Applet inside of Command. Today we're going to take a look at how we track those goals for 2024 now that we have them set, and what things inside of Command will trigger us moving forward on those goals. So let's dive into the Reports Applet. Once again, our bar and line graph here on the left hand side. And we are in the Goals tab. That's our third tab over here. We're going to click on Goals. And right now, it's important just to draw attention to this note that, hey, a lot of this information does come from the Opportunities Applet, and it's not always an instant update. It can take a few minutes, a few hours, up to 24 hours in some cases. So if you don't see instant changes, don't freak out. Just know that it's coming, and check back tomorrow. You should be good to go. So I'm going to close out that note. You can also see that right now there's a drop down here at the top right hand corner where we see 2023 goals, and now that we have set them, we can see our 2024 goals. We actually have a countdown clock to 2024 here to let us know when these are actually going to go into effect. So let's go back to 2023 goals and sort of look at our speedometers. How are these speedometers actually tracked, and what happens to start to fill them in? First of all, let's go into 2024 so we can take a look at the goals that we set. Actually, it's not going to trigger that until we get to 2024. All right, back to 2023. So right now you can see, based upon when we set our goals for 2023, in order to accomplish that $100,000 annual profit goal, surprise, surprise, it was the same goal, 23 as it is 24, we need to close 23 units. So you can see that down here at the bottom. This is our annual goal for closed units. Now, based upon the conversion ratios that we put in yesterday, or in this case, back in 22, but the conversion ratios are the same, in order to close 23 annual transactions, we're going to need to get 31 of those under contract, right? Because we said that our conversion ratio was 0.75, which means that that's going to get us to 23 closed units if we can get 31 under contract. Now, to get 31 under contract, we said that our conversion ratio from agreements to under contract was going to be 75%, so we need to have 42 agreements to get to 31 under contract in order to get 23 closed. Again, appointments kept to agreements signed, I believe we had that also at 0.75, so if you take 56 times 0.75, that's where you get your 42. So 56 appointments kept. Once again, appointments set to appointments kept, right? Remember how we had each one of those ratios? And you can see those ratios down here on the conversion ratio set numbers here. 75 to 75 to 75 to 75. It even shows us right here under the fine print, if you will. Hey, in order to get 23 closed units, you're going to get 31 under contract. In order to get 31 under contract, you're going to need 42 agreements. In order to get 42 agreements, you're going to have 56 kept appointments. In order to get 56 kept appointments, you're going to need 74 set appointments. You can see that that goes along here at the top as well. And then finally, we said that 5% of our contacts will turn into a set appointment. So that means that we would need in our database 1,471 contacts that we are communicating with on a regular basis, obviously. We don't just throw a phone book at the monitor and start closing 23 deals. But we are going to need 1,471 contacts if 5% of those turn into appointments set. We also then said, hey, if we're just getting random leads, this is really where the phone book comes into play. If we just have random people with phone numbers or email addresses and we don't know anything about them, they don't know anything about us, 5% of those people will turn into actual two-way conversations. 29,000 leads would turn into roughly 1,500 contacts, would turn into appointments set, kept agreements. You can see all of that. So that's how our ratios play out based upon the goals that we've set. Now, how do we start to fill in these speedometers? As far as leads go, when you're putting in contacts into your database, you do have the mark as lead option. So you could import contacts into your database and mark all of them as leads. That's how this speedometer would start to fill out if they were marked as leads. Contacts is pretty self-explanatory. As we bring contacts into the database and choose not to mark them as a lead, leave them as an original contact, this speedometer would start to fill in. Now, when it comes to appointments set, kept, agreements, and under contract, I'm actually going to take you back to our opportunities training. If you'll recall, when we talked about opportunities, inside the opportunities was a details tab. And inside of that details tab, we had a date section. So we're going to go way back to our fictional characters, Marge and Homer. We're going to open up their opportunity. And if you recall, on this details tab, underneath the key information section, if we click on this pencil here, you're going to see in this date section that we have an appointment date, an agreement one, right? Excuse me, we have an appointment scheduled date, an appointment date, an agreement one, and a contract date. Let's remember those, right? When did we schedule the appointment? When was it actually held? When did they sign the paperwork? When did we go under contract? And when did we close? So you can see those dates. These are 5 key fields in every opportunity that need to be filled out. Reason being is those 5 key fields are driving these 5 speedometers. So every time you put in that you have set an appointment has been scheduled, you're going to get a speedometer +1 here, right? You're starting to fill in this speedometer. Every time you put in the appointment held date or the appointment date, this speedometer starts to fill in. Every time you put in that you've got an agreement signed, this speedometer starts to fill in. Every time you go under contract, this speedometer starts to fill in. And then every time you close a unit, obviously this speedometer will start to fill in. You can also see that you've got some color coding here. So you've got 4 different colors based upon the different activities that you're doing and the different closings that you are, the transactions that you're closing, excuse me. This drop down, you can see, okay, how am I doing on my listing goal, buyer goal, or leases? And you can see that just changes our speedometer. Note that the annual goal doesn't necessarily change, but your speedometer and your speedometer colors would change as well. And again, we showed you that we can go back to this month or all of this year. And then you do have a compare toggle. So if you want to compare yourself, right, to other agents, you can say in my market center, in the state, all agents, top producing, etc. But this is basically where all of those goals that we just set yesterday are going to start to show up. If you've never done this before, beginning of 2024 is a great place to start tracking those. The key metrics, again, though, is back to opportunities, making sure you're filling in all of your details and all of your all of your dates inside of that details tab, because oftentimes I will have people that come in and they say, hey, contacts is filled in, closed units is filled in, none of this is filled in. Where is all of this coming from? I set my goals, but none of it is actually filling in. Remember, the key is going into your opportunities, clicking on the pencil in that details section, and filling in all of those dates. So if that isn't something that you have been doing, it might be a good time to go back to any of your opportunities and start to fill in those dates, at least for 2023, such that you're then in the habit of doing so for 2024. That's it for today, guys. The second piece of our goals training inside of the Reports Applet. Come back tomorrow when we start talking about reporting around our emails from Smart Plans and our email-based campaigns. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day, and as always, I'll look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.